tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Andhabhuto ayam loko tanuketta vipassati sakunto jala muttova appo saggaya gacchati. Friends, before I come to the gathas that I just uttered, I like to tell you the story behind this gatha. This is the 174th gatha in the Dhammapada. I'll explain the gatha to you later. Now let us look at the story behind the gatha. This happened during the Buddha's time when Buddha was living in Jetavana. And there is a city called Alavi. And there was a monastery called Aggalava. It was a very beautiful monastery. And Buddha used to go there and stay there. So this particular day, Buddha went there and gave a sermon. And a weaver's daughter, she was only 16 years old. And she was also in the audience, listening to the Dhamma. The others didn't understand Buddha's sermon, but she understood. And this weaver's daughter is the heroine of this story. So, let us see now what was the Buddha's sermon about. The Buddha's sermon was on Marana Sati. Marana means death. Sati means mindfulness. And Buddha said that life is uncertain, but death is certain. And therefore, we should live always, whatever we are doing, thinking of this particular thing that we have got along with our birth. That is death. That is the gift that we have got. You see, along with birth, we have all got this also. So, we cannot forget it, though we try to forget it. So, the Buddha said, we all have to face death one day. And therefore, think about it. And that is the only way to see the true nature of life. When we look at death in the face, then we can see three things: impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and no self. So, to understand these three, we should look at death. Buddha gave a sermon and went back. Now this girl thought, I must practice this. Life is uncertain, death is certain. Now from that day onwards, she started practicing this Marana Sati, or about death. 3 years went by, and after 3 years, every day Buddha sits in meditation, and when he gets up from meditation, he looks at the world to see to whom he could help. See? So that day when he got up and looked at the world, he saw this girl. He knew that this girl had not long to live. She was only 19 years now, but she had not long to live. So the Buddha went again to this monastery, Aggalava, in the Alavi city. Now he went there specially for this girl's, spiritual advance or development. So when he went there, naturally, lots of people come and then gather around him. So that day also, when he was seated there, many people came and sat there. But Buddha did not give a sermon. He was also waiting. Now he was waiting for this girl to come. That day, her father, who is a weaver, he asked her to wind some spools of thread. And she did that. And she was going to give the spools to her father. On her way, she passed this monastery. She saw these people gathered, and then she went and looked. She saw the Buddha. And she stood on the fringe of the crowd, And then Buddha looked straight at her. And when he looked straight at her, she dropped the basket and came up to him, paid him respect, and then sat on her side. The Buddha asked her 4 questions. Where have you come from? She said, I don't know. The next question, where are you going? I don't know. Don't you know? Yes, I know. Then the next question, do you know? I don't know. Now the people who were gathered there got really upset. They thought that this girl, she's playing with the Buddha. She's trying to tease him, to be funny, And then they got upset. Then the Buddha silenced the people and said, now explain what you said just now. Explain your answers. And she said, Venerable Sir, you know that I am coming from home. That was not your question. What you asked me was, what karmic cause brought me to this world? Why, how did I come here? What is my previous birth? From where did I come here? And I don't know that. The next question was, where are you going? You know that I am going to my father with the spools of thread. That was not your question. You asked me, where will you go when you die? And I don't know that. Then you asked me, don't you know? That was, don't you know that you are going to die? That you will die one day? And I know that. So I said, yes, I know. And the last question was, do you know? That was, you asked me whether I know when I will die. I don't know that. So I said, I don't know. And the Buddha said, Sadhu 3 times. And then he gave a sermon. At the end of the sermon, this girl attained Sotapanna or stream entry. And that was why Buddha went there. Knowing that this girl would attain Sotapanna or stream entry. Now, this girl, after listening to the Buddha, paid her respects to the Buddha, and then she went to her father. The father, waiting for he had to wait a long time for the daughter, had fallen asleep on the seat. And he suddenly got up when she went. And his sudden action made the shuttle to jump out. The weaver's shuttle. And that went and struck the girl. In some books it says in the eye, in some books it says in the heart. She fell down dead. And Buddha, that is why, knowing that she would die that day, that is why Buddha went there, out of compassion for her. Now, this girl, when she died, she had become a Sotapanna. So, her death was nothing much to her, because she went and got her rebirth in Tusita Devaloka. But the father, he was stricken with sorrow, and he left the weaver's shed, left everything and ran to the Buddha and told him, "Venerable Sir, this is what happened." Then Buddha said, that is the way with this world, death is something that nobody can escape. And then he asked for ordination, and he was ordained by the Buddha, and after striving for some time, he became an arahant. Now let us look at the gatha that I said. Now, this gatha was uttered by the Buddha at that time when he went and told him about his daughter's death. Anda bhuto ayang loko. What it means is, this world is blind. The world is blind means the people in this world are blind. What do you mean by blind? They don't see the truth. You see? They don't see the truth of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and no self. They don't see it. They see everything as being permanent, happy, and all belonging to us. You see? So Buddha said, "Anda bhuto ayang loko." The people in this world are blind. Tanuketta vipassati. Few are those who clearly see. Very few see clearly. Just like, he gave a simile now. Sakunto jala muttova. That is, sakunto means birds. Now, a hunter of birds will take his net, not now, but at that time, that's how they hunted the birds. And where the birds would, settle in a tree or somewhere, he would lay his net and collect the birds and then go. See? So very few of those birds would escape this net. In the same way, appo saggaya gacchati, few of the human beings go to a blissful state. Most of the human beings that are in this world go to a woeful state because they live such bad lives. So now, that is the story behind this, the gatha that I said. Now, I would like to tell you of two things. One is about death, the other is about stream entry. So, the Buddha said, in this world, most people are running up and down on this side of the shore. Now, what he means is that he compares this samsara. Samsara is this rolling of birth, death. That is our samsara. See? So, he called this samsara a river. And if it is a river, there are two banks. This bank and the other bank. Now, people in this world are running up and down on this side of the bank. You see? On this side of the shore. They do not try to cross over to the other side. Buddha says that this Dhamma is the raft. So, when you go across, you see, you don't need the raft anymore. You don't need the Dhamma even, once you have crossed to the other side. That is, when you have gone, beyond samsara, that is, when you have attained arahantship, you don't need Dhamma even, because you have done what had to be done in this world. So, let us look at this idea of death. Now, most people are scared of death. They don't want to think about it. How can we overcome this fear of death? We don't have to be afraid, because it is something that we have brought with us as we came into this world. We have innumerable times gone through this birth and death and suffered accordingly. Enough to be weary of life, but we are not weary. Why? Because we don't remember. We don't remember even what happened yesterday, you see. So how can we remember what happened in our past births? Now when we think of rebirth, there are two benefits that we can think of. One is what I have just said, that we have faced it many times, and therefore we don't have to be scared about it. We have faced it so many times, so why be scared? Then the second one is the more important one. That is, we will be motivated to find a way out of this. It is not the length of time that we live or how long we live that matters or that counts, but the way we live or how we live. It's a quality of life that matters, not the number of years that we live. So, meditation on death can have many benefits. Now let us see what the benefits are. It is not necessary to be morose and frightened or morbid or depressed when we think of death. It's not necessary. Instead, we can be able to live more wisely than we have lived before. We can be more compassionate, more outgoing, do things for others, and that is how we could compensate for any selfish life that we have led earlier. So, that is one benefit that we can get by thinking of death. We can also be more tolerant about other people's faults. Be more patient, kind and gentle. And when we are like this, we become less attached to our material possessions, because we don't know when we are going to leave them and go. All these worldly possessions are also conditioned, and all conditioned things are going to end when the conditions end. See? So we become less attached, and also we learn to share our things with others, and also enjoy the sharing. We can share but not be happy about it. But if we can enjoy the sharing, then that sharing is beautiful, isn't it? And meaningful. Now when I say this, you might think we shouldn't collect, we shouldn't be wealthy, we should not. No. Buddha has never asked people not to be wealthy, not to collect, not to earn money. Buddha has said, when you are young, when you are able, you must do, you must work and earn and, get enough wealth for you and your family and to share with others. That is what Buddha said. But that earning should be righteous, and it should not harm yourself or others. The way you collect your wealth should be such that it is so righteous that nobody can say anything to you, so that when you have your wealth, you can share it with others joyfully. Now that is how you can have spiritual balance in your life between what you earn and what you spend and the way you earn. Now there is another very important word. It is called Samvega. Now Samvega is what, can result when you contemplate death. When you think of death, you can get Samvega. What is Samvega? It is a sense of urgency. Sense of urgency, that is the energy that you get and that can change you to do all the good that you can before you die. Before we die, we can do whatever good we can. So that Samvega is very, very essential in life. That is something that we can all relate. There is another way of looking at death. We experience this death from moment to moment. Every moment we are dying. Every moment that we take in, when we take, with the intake of the breath, we live. With the out breath, we die. See? So, in, out, we are every moment dying and living again. If we are not able to breathe in, that means death, isn't it? Total death. So, that is not the only way of, explaining it. Consciousness. Now, when you think of your consciousness, what about that? It changes so much, you see, your consciousness. It changes. If you think of 1 second, in 1 second you get so many thoughts and ideas, and they have all gone away. So it is a case of dying, being born and dying, birth and death, birth and death, in consciousness. Also, when you think of the body, that is also dying. I think you might have heard of the fact that every 7 years, every cell in our body has changed, so that we are a different person every 7 years. So you see, how many times we would have changed. To see this change, we have to look at our pictures from the small, as a small baby up to now. If we look, then we will see how much we have changed. And all this change we never saw, but it has taken place. So you see, that is birth and death. Now, let us look at a better topic, that is stream entry. Now, a stream entrant cuts off the first 3 fetters. There are 10 fetters. Out of those 10 fetters, a stream entrant cuts off 3 fetters. What are the 3 fetters? Identity view, which is called Sakkaya Ditthi. Adherence to rules and observances, that is called Silabbata Paramasa. And the third is doubt, that is Vichikiccha. Those 3 are the 3 things that Sotapanna destroys. So a Sotapanna will never be born in a lower realm. Now, isn't that a great thing? Because we don't know where we would go. A lower realm means there are 4 realms, according to Buddhist cosmology. 4 realms, that is the 4 apayas. One is the hell, one is the animal world, which we can see. The other is the Petha world, that is, Petha means the hungry ghosts, and the 4th is Asura, or the demons. Those are the 4 lower worlds. So, a Sotapanna will never be born in any of those lower worlds. And the most important thing is that a Sotapanna is definitely headed for enlightenment. You see? Definite that such a person, he or she, would be enlightened. There is no backing out. Definitely enlightened. Then these are some of the qualities that a Sotapanna will have. Unwavering confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Now as it is, we might wonder, was Buddha actually enlightened? This Dhamma, is it true? were the Arahants who lived at that time actually Arahants? That kind of doubt. But once a person becomes a Sotapanna, that person will never have doubts. All doubts will be gone. And doubts about the 4 noble truths are also gone. That person will understand, realize or experience the 4 noble truths. And also, the 5 precepts that you normally take as lay people, not killing, not stealing, not having sexual misconduct, not lying, not having intoxicants, those 5 sins or, bad behavior, such a person will definitely, rule out, not do at all. And a Sotapanna will have the 4 foundations of mindfulness, definitely. And also, such a person will look for Kalyana Mittas, that is, people who are higher than them or at least equal to them. See, so Kalyana Mitta, that is, true friends. And such a person will possess the 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. And such a person will know what's fit for attention and what is not fit for attention. What should be cultivated and what should not be cultivated. And such a person will not get, what is unwished for, what is undesired, what is disagreeable. They will diminish such things. On the other hand, such a person will get what is wished for, what is desired, and what is agreeable will increase. We should all try to attain Sotapanna in this life itself. And that should be our aim in life. At least that, of course it's good if we can become Arahants. But to become a Sotapanna is also something very, very great and something that we should all wish for.